Ernie, I bought this exact same shirt for my son. Do you think it's appropriate for him to wear it to school or not?
Oh, they're going to get him up out of here.
Do you think they kick him out?
Yeah,
Well, happy Halloween.
Yeah.
I'm dressed up and trying to pretend like I'm dressed like an adult today. and trying to be articulate. And I'm being fixated on that shirt of yours. So since
It
you
is
brought
very
that,
distracting.
Baby,
Sure.
since you, I'm not sure you should be wearing it. But from the parenting side,
Yeah.
I definitely don't think your kids should be wearing that to
We are
school.
going to. He and I will be wearing it as twins one of these days.
Yeah, we
Probably
will
not
be
as
doing.
twins.
That will be a future patient for my mental counseling.
Yeah. By the way, speaking of twins, real quick before we get to football, I saw this guy walking his dog, and he was wearing like this purple and red sweater, weird looking sweater, and his dog had the exact same sweater. So he's twins with his dog.
Hey, man.
Is that weird?
Some people take that sincere. Like,
He probably getting all the women off of that, too.
We are in the dog pound here.
Fair point.
Hey, Bernie.
We are dog friendly.
We back, Bernie. Listen,
Everybody's excited again.
I know from a quarterback standpoint, when you saw some of them throws, some of the schemes, you was like, oh, okay, I see this. I see what we're doing now.
Yeah, and to take it from the positive side of what we saw with Jameis and hearing what you guys were saying in the last segment and stuff of the kind of the old school Jimbo Fisher throw him from the Florida State days, and that's coming from a Hurricane who has a hard time talking Seminoles and stuff. It was eerily similar to watching our offense last year between Thanksgiving and Christmas with Joe Flacco.
It really was.
It was beautiful to see that intermediate passing game. And this isn't an indictment of Deshaun, but I think a thing that we've been talking about at length through the season is what's our personality. And when last week we talked about, it looked really bleak and stuff, and I do really, not to be funny, but I really do believe there was the spirituality of Jim Donovan and his spirit watching over us, because typically those are games that we blow in the fourth quarter in this century, the last 25 years we've been back. So for the football gods and for Jim Donovan's spirit, I believe, to have us ultimately come out with that game was awesome. But the belief that we were going to do that before, during the week, and to see how offensively it was simplified with just running and play action, and Nick Chubb with 18 carries, albeit only 52 yards, but it was better than 11 carries, 22 yards the week before. And we talked at the end of the segment that I was here last Thursday about how if we do, it may simplify it in terms of running the ball and play action, and then having Cedric Tillman and some of the receivers in the play action game may give them a little time to get open intermediately, and to see what he did, what Jameis did, what the play action game did, with the resurrection of Elijah Moore. I mean, last year, the first half dozen games of the year, we were kind of saying, man, is he a bust? Do we need him here? Same this year. And then Joe Flacco and him had that magical chemistry last year, and you saw 8 catches for 85 yards from him in Jameis's first game. So I hope that is the pathway that we're going to see moving forward here. And this is a big game with the Chargers now.
No doubt.
Bernie, why do you think it took Kevin so long to let the play calling go? And did you notice any difference with Ken calling the plays?
So I know there's been a big focus on the Ken and Kevin switching of play calling, and of course it went fantastic. And I really, though, think that what we said at the end of last week's show, that now with Deshaun being hurt and him not being in the game like last year, the reality was we are for sure now know we are not a spread, 5-man protection, go 35 snaps a game of no backs in the backfield and try to throw and wing it. And when he got hurt last year, we stopped doing that. And we knew last week we were going to stop doing that. And that, I believe, is the main reason why we didn't have those plays in the game plan. So with Ken calling, he did fantastic. I really thought when I watched the game, and again, I'm biased with the U. So Ken Dorsey, congratulations and beautiful job. But I believe that Ken's background is kind of that one back spread type stuff, and he's really learned from the Kevin Stefanski stuff, and I believe Kevin Stefanski is learning some from Ken's spread stuff, and we saw kind of a convergence of those schemes, and unfortunately it took maybe eight games to get here, but we're getting there. And it may be too late, but the players don't think it's too late right now. And
you win this week, it's not. You still got a real shot.
Especially with with the added playoff teams and the AFC being messed up. It's still a massive long shot, but the players believe, and I see a kind of a convergence of Ken learning a lot from the Kevin offense and Kevin learning from his, and you saw that in the play calling. And because, again, I'm not saying because Deshaun forced those spread games, but that is what people thought he was best at. He thought he was best at, and we talked at length that really separated us from what a real personality of an offense is, and now we've got that, and I believe the coaching staff and the players are more suited for this.
Bernie, another positive, it seems to me, from this offense is that you mentioned Nick getting more carries, and obviously as the weeks go, you'd expect him to get better and better. But he's always been better when the quarterback's under center. Explain that to me, why that would make such a big difference for the running back.
So I believe it makes a big difference for the running back in terms of how he gets the ball, how the line is able to come off, and then the flexibility of more running plays. You could, in the spread shotgun. I mean, bro, you know exactly what the running plays are. There's two of them. There's two.
And nobody don't run draw.
And it almost ain't hardly ever power. Okay, it's just that zone read. Okay, okay, that was great a decade ago. We fooled you guys. We had 10 years in athleticism to bank on that. So it's sinful and woefully shows a limited intelligence to do that all the time. And when you're under center like that, okay, the line's more aggressive, the get off of the ball is, there's way more running plays you could do and blocking schemes, and we need to be creative in some of those blocking schemes. The zone running game and the off tackle plays are significantly easier and better angles from under center. Then we saw the passing game. It gives you an opportunity to get into that intermediate level of 10 to 22 yards that was woefully absent through the first 7-8 games of the year. So to see guys actually running with separation, it's not just from me to you open now, it's from me to you, G. Bush. You know, and in that play action under center, you're seeing that. And Elijah Moore, Cedric Tillman, Jerry Jeudy, I mean, those guys combined for 20 catches in the game. They hadn't had 20 all season.
That's crazy.
I mean, that's unbelievable. And they were open. You know, they weren't just bubble screens.
Right.
Okay.
We talked about before you came on. You know, he talked about Dorsey and Kevin Stefanski talking about drawing some things up to break tendency in live games and just doing that in the second half. And to me, I felt like when you do get the play action stuff going, it just seems like when you can run the ball, it opened everything up, because now they have to at least respect that. Talk about a little bit, like, from your perspective.
Hey, if I could chime in too, they got to respect it. And for kind of the first game this season, we were awesome on third down. I think 8 for 13. But we almost the whole season it was 3rd and 9, 3rd and 10 plus, 3rd and a dozen. Like, you're getting off on your rush against us on those situations. But now we had, how many times was it 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, 3rd and 5? When you're under center and you're running the ball, you're getting less grab 'em holding penalties, you're getting less pre-snap penalties, and you're getting more positive plays. So you get in those third and manageable situations where you could continue running and playing.
Two-way goals is very difficult. When you talk about, you know, drawing specific plays up, what's the thought process that goes into that? Like, you know, what's the difference between you having some stuff that you think that you want, and is the ability to dial up kind of plays in the midst of the game? Is that an advantage to teams that can execute?
Yeah, so I do believe it's an advantage. And again, I'm back into it. I'm even getting elevated and excited for this now as we're talking about the running game and the play action under center. And yes, it's Halloween and you want to be festive and family oriented, but what goes through my head is under center, what it allows you to do, and what I try to come up with is, are we winning the line of scrimmage today? And when you start under center and you start with that physical running game and you minimize the thinking, like we did for Dewan Jones the other day at left tackle, when he knows he's not going to be 35 snaps a game, spread out on an island, 5-man protection, and I get to start out probably 6 of my first dozen plays running you over. You know, just coming off. I don't have to overly worry about stuff, and that comes at you with that. So what I do is I like to have, although I talk a lot about bombs and throwing, and I absolutely am set up when you come with press coverage and come up, but I'm really into my blocking schemes. And again, I feel bad saying this as a spiritual healer now, and really trying not to have a lot of that animosity towards life. But you have to have that on a football field. And I'm really chippy with who's my defensive linemen that aren't playing, that are being too disruptive, or who's my offensive linemen and need help. So wham blocking and power blocking and caving down on double teams, who's being disruptive in the game. So if I was the old days playing Lawrence Taylor, he got a lineman, a tight end, and a chip back. Aaron Donald in the defensive tackles, we'd wham the hell out of you. You know, I mean, you're gonna if you're a defensive end, you're gonna get power O on you.
What if you're a blitzing safety like me?
So you're making sure you have your fullback in there. You're not gonna have your scat back receiver
I'm gonna hold the look though, so you don't count me in.
No,
Well, but Bernie, by the time Tyvus played, the fullback had gone the way of the dodo.
So
You gotta hold the look, bull, so they don't count you in the protection.
But we do a lot of the chip check throughs with bigger guys. So in those plays, if you're not coming, you're wiping out the D lineman and leaking down right in front. And then the time you are coming, that's your responsibility.
And back then, Bernie, you could be they would engage you up top and get you down low, Tyvus. That was the nitty gritty back then.
They was so
You could be going, no, it's wrong. It's wrong now. Don't do this, kid. We engage you up top and then wipe you out from the side. I mean,
Bernie, I gotta put Bernie on the spot here. You played with a lot of great running backs. Of all the great running backs you played with, who was the best at the chip block?
So I was so blessed because I obsess on it. So that was whoever I was kind of playing with. Those guys were adept at it. I really mastered it towards the end of my career, though, with Leroy Horde.
Yeah.
Leroy was, because he was such an adept pass catcher, and he was so creative at just finding the void. It's almost like what Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce have, where it doesn't even look like a route.
Right.
Leroy's didn't look like routes. It was just, I'm going to bang you as you're coming through hard, while you're engaged with the tackle, and then find a void. And then we had a little conversation, a little yelling, and we'd be able to do that. But Kevin Mack was amazing. Ernest Biner. I mean, that was the weapon.
Yeah. McNuggets
Mike,
got
go ahead.
something for you. Keep throwing his hand up.
This just came out a second ago. I wish the players and the coordinators spoke either earlier in the day or earlier in the week, because we're getting some really interesting stuff coming out. We talked about Ken Dorsey talking earlier, how him and Stefanski were communicating and collaborating. This is from Joel Bitonio, who said, it was pretty much all the same plays that Ken Dorsey called on Sunday, just a little different sequencing. He anticipates more plays from under center going forward. That has to be because Deshaun was not necessarily as comfortable in under center situations as Jameis is. Bernie, could you touch on, I know you mentioned it earlier, where the quarterback's lined up, how it impacts the run game, etc. But if a guy is comfortable under center, how much does that open up in the passing game as well, knowing you can utilize more play action, knowing the defense is more on its heels because there's more running options? What does that do change from an offensive play calling philosophy? May not be the right word, but from the ability to call anything when a quarterback's comfortable in that position?
Again, I'm trying to keep my maturity in my Halloween costume with my mature attempt here, and I didn't get the shirt call today. So like, you're buffed with that shirt on there, my man.
Yeah.
This is a shirt fest here.
It is a shirt fest.
Hey,
It is.
but to the seriousness of the question, is under center in the play action game and opening up the throwing game, it actually makes the drop back game easier too, because you have more guys in there. It's wider edges for the defensive ends. You have more guys in there to handle the games and stuff. But you saw with the play action game, it's not the defensive lineman immediately rushing up the field. So the intermediate throws are so much more open. The receivers don't feel as pressed to hustle through their routes. And now we really are attacking the 10 to 20 yard range with a check down in front of it. So one of the things you've heard me say a lot on air as I kind of look in the camera is I'm looking down the field. I want to throw a middle read. I want to throw an 18, 20 yard square or a bow out. I'm still looking down the field. And in the spread shotgun stuff, my checkdowns are mostly check wide to the sidelines. Under center and play action, my guys are all right in front of me. Bull, you're one of the checkdowns. You're Leroy right there, so I could stay the whole time this way. Right, I mean, that kind of goofiness hits your head.
Trying to catch
Hey,
Atlantic
when
Sam
LT's
on
going to
the
run your ass
Oh, yeah.
over, okay, that's very happy. You're very happy to see that over there. Okay? That's better than Christmas morning.
Yeah, there you go.
Bernie, what did you think of Dewan in there at left tackle? Did you notice him, and is he a guy that you think could be a long-term solution at left tackle?
So I'm a big fan of his.
Go Bucks.
Personally and professionally. And I was, when people were jumping on his backside, oh, he's lazy, oh, he's not trying. And he's smart too. So for a big, tough guy, this is not an intelligence thing. But when you have to you're not used to being spread protection and 5-man protection and completely being on an island, which there's only a handful of dudes in this world that can handle that. So why are we picking on him? Because he's not one of 5 guys like Joe Thomas in the world that could do that.
Yeah.
So to limit and kind of take that out of the game plan, okay, and then to say, hey, dude, I'm 360. I'm actually bigger and tougher than all of you dudes. Okay, so to let him know that and say, instead of the first 15 plays being scripted and a dozen of them are shotgun spread plays where I'm on my own and I got to worry about, double A gap blitz and am I squeezing down and they're really faking it. So they're faking me over here and it's really coming off the slot and I'm not being lazy, I'm just uncertain. And when you take some of that uncertainty away, I was watching him the other day and it's like his confidence was so exuded because he was just running and play action passing.
What is your well, I'll ask that second. Jameis Winston, I think what we saw was people throwing in with anticipation, throwing guys, and he just letting it go, and it was beautiful. He almost throws an interception at the end of the game. But then comes back and then like the next throw and drops a complete dime.
Yeah, the spirit of Jim, came and knocked that out of Kyle Hamilton's hands.
What is
that kid hasn't missed a ball like
that?
That his whole life.
We was all our whole life was in our throat at that point. That was crazy.
Yeah, that was. I want to keep it funny
boy. You better repent.
Yeah, I'm sorry for that one. Let me just ask you, what is your philosophy on interceptions, right? Because it seems that Jameis is not afraid to throw them and come back and throw great footballs later on.
Yeah, that's a really great question and a real transition point of old school and new school. Completions, not completions, throw the ball away, no mistakes. Everyone always says no mistakes, no turnovers. Turnovers kill you. They do. But look at that mindset of like, I could go throw no turnovers and still suck. Okay, what good does that do? Like, so Gary Danielson coached me up, my mentor, and he's doing a lot of the college games still. And he goes, you got to throw it in there. You got to let it go. And if you throw a couple picks, well, then you got to throw more touchdowns. Okay,
That's right.
I like
That's the way
that's
it
the
goes.
ratio.
Okay, and you got to let it go. And you guys in the segment before I was coming in, as I had to chime in with behind Mike over there about the Jameis throwing guys open. The NFL, we throw guys open. Now, people say, well, Deshaun didn't do that. Lots of young quarterbacks are constantly being coached and yelled at. Don't throw an interception. Don't throw it. Don't throw it. See the guy open. See the guy open. From birth, they're being told, see the guy open. Don't throw interceptions. So you almost are creating these scared quarterbacks back there to let it go. So it is incredibly challenging for young Qs to have the mindset that it's, in my mind, okay to throw interceptions, because a lot of times that's also why I'm not hired to coach, because most coaches also don't feel like that is. But if you make your quarterback scared, we watched it, okay? He didn't the last 7 weeks. I do the You Matter, and that's really about self-confidence and self-esteem. And if you don't have the self-confidence to believe that if I throw 2 picks, screw you, it's not I'm still going to throw 4 touchdowns and win the game, so deal with it. Okay, and you don't have kind of that Brett Favre mentality of that, or Dan Marino mentality, and some of the real gunslingers. Patrick Mahomes, if he throws a couple picks, he's okay. I'm going to deal with it and make more happen. So that mindset is really important, and it's hard to get with the way so many coaches are yelling at their kids and from birth telling them don't throw interceptions. And so Deshaun, I believe, also, like, people are like, oh, he wasn't trying, he didn't care. He did. He tried. He handled it. But the pressure and criticism that he was getting on and off the field, I think, also gets in your head. And then you're told, hey, don't make mistakes. Don't make mistakes. It almost manifests in itself. That at the end of my career, I had a hard day. You guys didn't see because I was down with the Dolphins and the team wasn't here. But I had trouble pulling the trigger. That's why I'm so into You Matter and self-confidence, self-esteem.
What do you mean you had trouble pulling the trigger?
Because I started listening, first to us.
You lost your confidence.
You don't have as much.
Yeah.
You didn't let it go as much. Yeah, and when you did, you didn't know, and that you didn't believe as much that it was going to be successful. So, like the throw to David Njoku that I chimed in with, he wasn't open, but he's the man. He's chief. Pro guys make them plays, and I'm trying to be funny with it, but your guys are DBs for a reason. You can't really catch as good, and the rules are really bad for you. Like down the field, you can't touch. Like in the old days.
First of all, Bertie, we catch fine.
No,
you don't.
We get paid.
Look at the Ravens. They don't catch fine, man. Thank God. We got a couple touchdowns and a win because they can't catch.
That's right. Bernie, we've talked all about the offense, but let's talk about the defense.
Hey, wait, one more thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
The throws and to the old days, like to the Chiefs. Why you got to let it go now? Okay. As we had to let it go in a day when you guys could decapitate us. Yeah. So I prided myself that I never threw above your right here, halfway above your nipples. I never threw a ball. Okay?
Because you didn't want to get killed.
Because there was no defenseless receiver. Ronnie Lott would kill you.
Yes.
He would decapitate you.
Yeah.
And I was watching guys like that. That was the mindset. But now you're not allowed to touch us. So those throws, every throw, should be from your nipples up. Yeah. Especially in the red zone.
Yeah.
So, because you're not allowed to touch them. So
right.
now you throw the guys open, and if you hit them, it's a penalty. And odds are with these pro guys, they're going to make the catch like Chief did. So I keep saying more power to those plays. And when you get a team like the Ravens, 32 in pass coverage, and again, I make it as a joke, but they really don't catch good because you could make them plays. Yeah.
Bernie,
tempt them.
The last 2 weeks, the defense has played much closer to what we saw last year in the loss to Cincinnati and the win against Baltimore. But now we've lost JOK and Denzel Ward. How hard is it going to be? I know the Chargers' offense hasn't been great, but how challenging is it to be without 2 of your 3 best defensive players?
Yeah, so that is challenging. those are two of the least guys I want to see out this week.
Yeah.
Because that is somewhat of the rhetoric that the LA Chargers and the offense is average at best.
Yeah.
I love Justin Hebert. Like, this guy is like an elite athletic level. And whether people like Jim Harbaugh or not, he's a tough guy, superstar coach. That team has had an attitude adjustment. And this is a game with Hebert and the way they run the ball and the way JOK has been all over the field, that I really think we could use him. And that's going to make a tough task already even tougher. But if, again, Jimmy Johnson, somehow, some way you pull this out and you go to 3-6 and you have a chance to get to this bye week, because what we started with about on my Ohio State Love Fest today is we had Dewan Jones playing left tackle. We had Joe Bitonio at left guard. We had Ethan Postnick back for the first time in 3 weeks at center. We had Wyatt Teller back off of IR, and we had a healthy Conklin at right tackle. Give them another week to get healthy. On top of that, and Jameis, getting into this play-action game. If somehow, some way, we pull off this game at 3-6, the season's not over now.
That's right.
That's pretty exciting, considering how we felt just 7 days ago.
That's right.